of the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy. The weather's holding out and there's still loads more to come with the handicap race.
Although sadly, there are going to be one or two cars missing from the grid. Andrew Kell, for example, not able to get his car rebuilt in time for this, the second of the two races here at Silverstone. And the handicap race releases the cars in 7 different groups. Some of them start with credit laps. So, for example, Gavin Kirby and Michael Edwards have already done a lap effectively. There are other people further back on the grid with 2 credit laps, Mark Peasy being one of them. So, for example, there you see he's 19th on the grid, number 53. He starts 35 seconds after the first drivers, but he has already done 2 laps. So what you're looking for really are the quick drivers, the likes of, for example, Chris Randall or Andrew Walsh or Simon Scuffham, because they're going to start mid-grid, but they also start on scratch. In other words, they've got to do the full 17 laps, whereas 1 or 2 other drivers are doing 16 or even 15 laps. The beauty of all of this, though, is that it works out so that at the very end, everybody should cross the line together, unless somebody's managed to trick the handicappers. It's happened before this year. Let's see what happens here. Away then go the first of them, Gavin Kirby in number 95, Doug Setters in number 24, and Michael Edwards in number 33. Now they all have 1 credit lap, effectively, therefore they are doing a 16-lap race rather than a 17-lap race. The next gaggle of cars being released now, on the 15-second mark, and amongst them number 40, Nick Kay, one of the quick drivers. Andrew Walsh there gets a demon start from the second row of this particular grid. Chris Randall, Simon Scuffham with him. This is the 25-second mark, and these drivers on scratch. In other words, no credit laps. They've got to do the full 17. Walsh gets himself ahead of Randall, going around Copse Corner for the first time. Up now towards Maggots. Now, just thinking about this, the last cars are going to be released at 55 seconds. A flying lap for the quicker cars is 1 minute and 2 seconds. It's going to be touch and go whether everybody gets away before some of the first cars are back around to complete the lap. Neil McKean, Russ Treasure get away in the next gaggle there. And of course, those cars that started first, like Gavin Kirby, like Setters, like Edwards, are on their way up to complete the first lap. As now the last few cars are released, looking back from BJ Chong on his way down towards Copse Corner. So, everybody's away, the track is clear, and Doug Setters, number 24, leads on the road at the moment. It's only as everybody comes across the timing line and the credit laps unfold that we'll get a proper perspective of exactly how the race pans out. There are 2 quick drivers running together though. Nick Kay ahead of Chris Pearson, as Andrew Walsh, Chris Randall and Simon Scuffham in a different order. They were the top 3 in the sprint race, and Simon Scuffham's had a handicap race win already this year. He won at Alton Park. David Harvey there, Russ Treasure behind him. Paul Golding, brains behind this series in number 2, turning his way up through Brooklands at a spin there. That's Sarah Crowder who's lost it. Neil McKean just avoids her. Sarah now car back in the right direction. David Harvey goes across the line but loses out to Russ Treasure, who goes past him. Remember that Treasure buried himself in the gravel in the scratch race, but now aiming to come good in this handicap race that gives everybody an equal chance really. Battles raging on in midfield there. Cars turning their way through. Number 44, Andy Gordon gaining a place. And that's Chris Randall, who's had a spin. He doesn't do that very often. Chris Randall then has chucked it away up at Beckett's. He rejoins. And now we're on board with Neil McKean accelerating out of Copse Corner. David Skeggs ahead of him, standing on the brakes. There's a slower car ahead of David Skeggs as well, in fairness. Behind Neil McKean, Steve William keeping her away from the outside. Great battle going on here, look. David Skeggs just defending. Neil McKean behind him. This is David Harvey's view. They're coming down towards Brooklands. Harvey through on the inside of Ian Smith there. Ian new to the series this weekend, and David Harvey, a more experienced driver, flashes past him on the inside line. Simon Scuffham, who did occasional British GT Championship races last year with his Pro Sport, but he's been a loyal Lotus racer for many, many seasons now. Out breaks Pearson. Does he? No, not quite. Chris Pearson able to take the line for Beckett and hang on to his place here. Pearson, though, eventually has to see the position. He runs a bit wide coming out of Beckett. He's got 1 credit lap, whereas there are no credit laps at all. Paul Scuffham, Tess Howell going through. Tucked up behind her, number 9, Martin Roberts, as they power their way out of Duffield now. Through the right-hander of Woodcote, then across the start-to-finish line. And that is Russ Treasure, whose miserable season gets no better. Yet again, it looks like a mechanical problem. It's about to put him out of the race, as now we're on board with Neil McKean coming down towards Brooklyn. David Harvey ahead of him. McKean stands on the brakes, takes the inside line, goes through. And a wave to acknowledge there that David Harvey gave him racing room. Neil McKean working his way up the order, and they're charging up on the inside of the trot. There's Chris Randall trying to get at him on Nick Kay, and Kay arrives far too fast at Brooklands and goes off. It's not okay, it's oh dear. Nick Kay, I'm afraid, is out of the race. He is going no further. The wheels spin in vain. He was trying to defend the place from Randall coming down the National Straight, arrived at Brooklands far too fast, skated off into the gravel bed as there. Mark Peasy goes through Beckett's, another of the newcomers to motor racing this year. You see the novice cross on the back of the car, and look now at how everybody is starting to bunch up. The handicap doing its job here. Everybody closing on one another as the race draws to an end now. It's a 17-lap race for those that don't have any credit laps at all. But there, look, number 77, that's Chris Pearson. He's in the box seat at the moment, looking very, very quick indeed. He had one credit lap as well. I think he might have tricked the handicappers here because he's now got himself into the lead of the race. He now has, as the handicapper's done its job. But Chris Randall, that is in the walls again. He's had a spin at Beckett's, now a spin at Brooklands. Through Beckett's they go. Number 3, Christian Watkins, the handicap race winner at Brands Hatch, goes through. And he goes ahead. Tess Howell on the inside as they sprint now down towards Brooklands once again. And there is Christian Watkins with right up behind him Mark Peasy as they turn their way down towards Brooklands, and there's contact there. And Mark Peasy gets fired off onto the grass, onto the gravel, and a spin as well. That could be the end of Mark Peasy's race. He seemed to clash possibly with Tom Chataway. He's trying to rejoin, but the car may have suffered a bit of damage out of all of that. On board here with Gavin Kirby. Now he is somebody that's falling down the order. Powering his way through the right-hander of Woodcote. And this is David Harvey. In contrast, he's climbing up the ranks here. Another couple of races again. This is the news from Tom Chataway's car. That's Harvey going past him. Gavin Kirby as well there to the left. Look. All the camera cars getting themselves together as Chris Pearson is on target for a race win, it seems now. He leads on the classification, he's got himself into the lead on the track, and so here he comes through Luffield, about to power his way towards the line. Neil McKean turns his way down towards Brooklands. He lost it, round up the back, late on the brakes, the car swaps ends. He's got it in the right direction and carries on, but Neil McKean in the wars there as he has that big, big lose coming into Brooklands. Chris Pearson's on his own, everybody else running as well, but that's Simon Scuffham with a big engine problem. Look, loads of smoke coming out of the back of it. Simon Scuffham's race is run. Checkered flag out, Chris Pearson comes across the line to take the win then. A flag a little bit late in coming out there, but there's no argument about the race winner. That's Chris Pearson, and Doug Setters here is on target for second place. Williams is second for third. There are still cars pouring their way out of Luffield. Chris Randall set for 9th after his 2 spins, ahead of Neil McKean after his 1 spin. Andrew Walsh, a good run for him, he's going to come through to the 4th position. As ever in the handicap race, there's a lot to talk about all the way through. Confirmation then of how the top 10 came across the line. Chris Pearson and Doug Setters and Steve Williams for the podium. Andrew Walsh 4th ahead of Christian Watkins and Martin Roberts a good 6th. David Harvey 7th ahead of Malcolm Sanders, whilst Chris Randall secures 9th after his 2 spins. Round out the top 10. So, Steve Williams receives his 3rd place trophy from Brian Poulter. Doug Setters does likewise for 2nd. But Chris Pearson scores a 1st win of the season in the Lotus on-track Elise Trophy. His 1st handicap race win, of course, of the season. And he heads to the top step of the podium. Steve Williams then, the 3rd, Doug Setters 2nd. And a first-time winner, Chris Pearson, the top 3 here at Silverstone in the handicap race. Let's hear from them now with Gemma Scott.
Joined by our top 3 drivers from the handicap race. Well done, guys. Amazing racing. So, Steve, 3rd place?
Yes, 3rd again. Yeah, well, I don't think with the handicap race you're ever actually going to win twice, but if the handicappers get it right, there's obviously a chance of doing that.
And for yourself, Doug, did you enjoy that?
Absolutely fantastic. I never expected to get a podium this season, and really pleased.
You drove a great race. Well done. And Chris, wow!
Yeah, it was going quite well, yeah. Not in my usual car this week. That's actually my road car, which we're using, so yeah, it's going well.
And you were sort of almost 30 seconds ahead, weren't you?
Yeah, 32, I think.
You sound a bit more excited?
I didn't even know I'd won. When I came into the pits, it was a shock to me.
Oh, so cool.
Is that why you took the checkered flag twice?
Probably, yeah.
Well done, Stu.
Sure.
Great racing, guys. Well done. Well, that's it from us today here at Silverstone. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Next time we're at Castle Combe, and I hope you can join us then.